Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Slice, the podcast that is focused on elevating the wealth of Africans globally. Brought to you by Kebo. And my name is Jam, and I'm here with David. Hello, David. How are you doing?
Hi. Welcome back. The last episode we didn't have Jam, so Jam, welcome back. So
Yeah.
today's episode is going to be something very relatable that I'm sure that most, if not all Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, can relate to. So today we're going to be speaking specifically on emigration. What is emigration? Emigration is leaving a country. So to us is emigration, to the people abroad is immigration. So in summary, we're going to be talking about Jakpa. That's today's whole topic. We're going to be talking about the different sides of Jakpa, and of course, we're going to be as practical as possible, as we always are right here on the slice. So to bring us this hot topic, this relatable topic, this wonderful topic, this everything topic, we have Angelina Amake. She's already smiling. I have to read out her profile first before she
Profile.
starts talking. Yes. So Angelina Amake is a modern languages and translation studies graduate who has specialized in French language. Bonjour, everybody. And she has 4 years of experience in marketing and sales and has spent the last 2 years as an international student recruiter for students going specifically to Canada. She has helped students get admission, and of course, apart from just admission, she has helped people emigrate successfully from Nigeria and to set up a home base in another country, which is the goal of many people. So thank you so much, Angelina, for joining us today. We are glad to have you. Let the people hear you speak.
Thank you very much. Hi,
No
Jam.
problem.
Hi,
No problem.
David. Thank you very much for having me on this Slice podcast. I hope it's going to be an amazing session and everybody gets to learn at least a thing or two to take home and properly start their dream process to emigrate to another country.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Angelina. I think at this point, we don't need to define Jakpa. But just like I said in the beginning, emigration, you're leaving the country, immigration, you're entering the country. So that whole process for Nigerians is what we call Jakpa. I'm just saying this for in case this episode hits somebody who is not familiar with the term. So that's what Jakpa means. And for us, it's so significant for Nigerians because of the state of the economy over the years. Most of the time, over the past years, we've had serious decline along various areas, from our currency to infrastructure to different sectors, agriculture. We are not in the golden age of Nigeria, and we have been declining as a country economically, amongst other things. And that has led people to start reconsidering, should I leave, should I stay, should I go and build my nest egg somewhere else? So the question I have for you, Angelina, my first question is that why do people Jakpa? I know it sounds very obvious, but like what are the key reasons that people say, okay, I'm going to take this leap? Because you're not just leaving. You're not just traveling. You are leaving. So you are uprooting yourself from where you built a base already. You are saying, I'm taking myself off from there. I'm leaving family behind. I'm leaving culture behind. And it's a different thing if people are moving from, like, let's say Nigeria to, maybe Benin. Everybody there is black. The culture is not so
Okay.
different, but you're going to these people don't look like you. The food doesn't taste like yours. The infrastructure is nothing you're used to. So why do you think people would take that risk to move all the way? What major reason?
Well, there are various reasons: economic factors, education, the work system, and all of that.
Mm,
Over familiarity complex. Basically, I have tried everything possible in my home country, and to an extent, it's become like, I would use the term see finish. I know everything. What's there to find out
mm,
again? You want to find something more interesting, something new, something to claw at,
mm,
education wise,
okay.
economic wise, social wise. So all of this, encompasses the reasons why people would want to
People.
japa leave.
How you
Yeah.
want to Jaguar? I think one thing that you mentioned is the over familiarity complex. Most of the time, the average Nigerian, which is true, the average Nigerian, I can't remember the stat I saw once, the average Nigerian would probably travel maybe as an out of the country, maybe 5 times in their life. Meanwhile, if you meet someone who was born in the UK, I had a friend in the UK who she ended up Barcelona for summer. That was normal. You understand what I'm saying? Even we don't even go to Benin that's beside us. If I ask both of you here, you probably not been to Benin before. Meanwhile, Benin is like here. So that would be okay, she has. So but for the average Nigerian, we are just here. Oh, I'm going every Saturday, So what are the most common destinations? I mean, in your line of work, you've seen people come ask you questions. What are the most common destinations for the average? Now, I want us to dwell on this topic. I want us to dwell on average Nigerians, because Nigerians are in classes. There are people that go to America for weekend, you understand? So that's a different class. So we want to cater just for the average Nigerian. So what we say are common destinations for average Nigerians.
So, well, the average Nigerian want to move to the UK. They want to move to
Okay.
the United States of America, that's the USA. They would like to move to
Mm-hmm.
Canada. Mostly, these three countries are like their focus for many reasons, for different reasons. Okay, so these three countries are like the top choices. Hey, you meet someone on the road. Hey, if you are asked today that you are given tickets, move to this country permanently, what countries? These three countries will surely be in at least
Surely,
8
yeah.
out of 10 Nigerians being asked. So yeah, US, UK,
Oh.
Canada.
So what will you say is the best place to Jakpa to, and why?
Well, so people have, personal reasons for various countries. But then if you're looking on different factors, you're looking at the process, the financial implications, the prospects of moving. I think for me, someone else might, differ with their own opinions. Of course, everyone is entitled to their opinions, but
Yeah.
for me, it's Canada, because one, Canada is the number 7 most peaceful country in the world. Two, their process is pretty easy, straight to the point, and you know what you are doing. Three,
Okay.
the financial aspect is not as what
Okay.
what
It
would be
choke.
as
It choke.
as
That's the term.
one would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the eventual outcome. Everyone hopes that at the end of the day, when I emigrate or I move to this country, I'm hoping
Okay.
to get passports, get the job,
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
citizen,
I'm able to
eventually
settle down.
settle down. I'll look at Canada on
Canada.
this
Okay,
factor.
Canada. So I
Wonder
think we should just dwell on Canada.
someone who recruits students for Canadian institutions. Of course, I'm going to be Canadian minded
Yeah.
or Canada minded, something along those lines.
Okay. Thank you so much. We should, for the purpose, because if we want to dwell on all countries, then we'll probably spend the whole podcast. So for now, we should just dwell on Canada. Just dwell on asking Canadian questions. Jam, over to you.
Okay, so I wanted to talk on like for Canadians who that want to immigrate to Canada. For the clients that you have, what is the driving force generally? Like from a standpoint, is it school? Is it I want to get a job? On majority of the cases, what's the degree to which people are saying, okay, Canada is the best fit for me from what you've seen so far?
Okay, so the reason why a lot of people would want to go to Canada would be that the whole the prospect of eventually having your permanent residence and eventually being a citizen in Canada is
Yeah.
the time frame is much more feasible than compared to other countries. And then you're looking at the power of the Canadian passport. If you eventually get your Canadian passport, Canadian passport, I think about one of the countries right now. So imagine if the power of the passport too, that is the drive for Nigerians, eventually
Yes.
having the passport and being able to move with that power as possible. So when students come in, actually, you know how Nigerians can, when prospectives come in, I will not say students because we have clientele from both
Both sides.
worlds. Yes, both sides. So people come in and I really want to work in Canada. The thing is, you can't be on this side of the world and you see inside to the other side. So when people come in and like, I want to work, it's not easy to navigate the legitimacy of jobs when you are not inside there to see and know what is going on for yourself. And then most of the time, their eligibility and all of that, the requirements and all of that, Nigerians do not really 100% fit into that space, and it's not as smooth. The transition is not as smooth for the whole of the grand scale of people that would want to move through the work business. So we weigh your opportunities, we weigh the prospects or the
Yes.
probability that okay, this could work for you, this couldn't, and then we advise you accordingly.
I think that's really interesting because I know a lot of people, they're like, okay, what's the easiest path to getting in first, And it really depends on what are you eligible for. So maybe for some people, school might be the best route based on who they are at the stage of their life. Or maybe for someone that they've already done their masters here, I don't know why they're going to school again. They might consider, okay, maybe I can look into the job market and see how that works. In terms of like how the process starts. So I come to you, for example, now, this is very practical. I come to you, for example, and I want to get into Canada. And maybe, let's say for this conversation, maybe school, for example, maybe I want to study a master's. I've finished my UNILAG undergrad and I want to bachelor's and I want to get into Canada. What is the flow looking like? Can you paint a picture of how that would work?
When you come to me that you want to do your master's, the very first thing I would look at, do you even meet the minimum requirements for you to study or have a master's degree study, program in Canada? Because the very minimum requirement, the barest minimum requirements for you to have at least a 2-1, a 4.0 on a 5-point scale. Because basically, the Canadian schools will tell you to have at least a 3 points most of the time on a 4-point scale because their curriculum is on a 4-point scale, while ours is
Obviously.
on a 5-point scale. Yeah, so our 4.0 will be their 3 at least. So when someone comes and I'm done with my bachelor's, I want to do my master's, and then I ask you, what was your final CGPA in school at least? Because most of the schools will tell you your cumulative for 2 years, your cumulative for finals and all of that, or your general cumulative. I'll ask you, what's like your CGPA, your final CGPA? And then you're telling me, it's a 2-1. I'm looking at going to one of the very top schools that their requirements are top notch. I would advise you, rather than risk it, because we know at the end of the day, it's not just study you are going to study. Of course, the knowledge pack and everything is amazing. You get to learn, you get to acquire more knowledge, but then you are looking at the opportunities after that. So if you're looking at, okay, let me even leave first, let me even get the visa first, let me be assured to an extent, because the very first thing for you to get is that admission, that offer of admission first before you even move to the visa processing stage.
Stage.
I'll tell you what, rather than doing the master's degree, rather than risking getting an admission application denial, apply for a postgraduate diploma, a postgraduate certificate program. Although I give my clients the chance that if they insist, fine. You can always take the donkey to the river, but you will not force it to drink water. Exactly. So when you come and then I tell you, you know what, the masters is a good idea, it's a brilliant idea, fine and good. But then if you do not meet the minimum requirement, all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost for you. You still get to study at an advanced level, but maybe not just the masters. And the good thing about the Canadian study pathway is that the masters and the postgraduate, apart from the fact that okay, the title of the certificate is a masters and all that, the postgraduate is just as good and valuable. Unlike our Nigerian education here that they tell you have to do a postgraduate diploma before you do a masters, and then it's not as the postgraduate diploma certificate or postgraduate certificate program is just as valuable. It's just like a pathway to advancing your career. So it's even a win-win for you because it's vocational, it's practical based, it's not just thesis, it's not just study, it's not just theoretical. Yeah. So that's basically
What
what.
you just mentioned now
Yeah.
is interesting because I didn't know that they were almost the same thing and they could almost give you the same value. And I'm sure, like in terms of cost, the
Not
difference
stable.
is large.
Yeah, the difference is clear. Yes, yes, yes.
Interesting. For another part that people choose aside from school is always the work permits, and I know that you mentioned earlier that it's somewhat harder for Nigerians to get through that. Can you speak to the process for someone that is willing to say, okay, I don't know, maybe you have a success story on that angle, but someone that is willing to say, I want to go on a work permit, and Canada is my destination, country for that. So how is that
Okay.
process for that person?
For someone who looks to getting a work permit, I usually advise the person, meet a certified or a licensed immigration consultant to guide you properly, to advise you properly, so that you will not make mistakes because it's a very critical process, very critical. You need to, meet certain criteria and follow certain steps. You can't, one good thing about the work permit thing is you just can't apply randomly to any Canadian company because you need a job, you want to go work in Canada. doesn't
Start
work that
notching
way.
their shot or
So
something.
yeah, exactly. So they have rules, they have laws, certain regulations to follow, to abide by for you to go through the work permit. So first of all, you go through the, like I said, the immigration consultant must advise you. You can't just blindly do the work permit process thing by yourself. It's a lot of times you need that professional advice, professional guidance, so that in the first place you will not make a mistake and then violate the Canadian immigration or
Laws.
labor or laws here.
Mm.
In both cases, which is, I guess that's the most common option for most Nigerians, what are the common misconceptions that you've seen or challenges when these individuals are navigating their immigration process? So what are those misconceptions that you say, come on, this is happening and you've seen it so many times from your angle? What is the most common one for you? Maybe you can mention like top three that you've seen so far.
One thing about Nigerians want to have their cake and eat it.
What does that mean?
It is what they think it is, and that is final. You as a professional advising a Nigerian, whatever it is or whatever misconception they have in their head is fixed. Whatever they've seen on the internet, whatever they've seen, happening maybe with a relative or a friend. And the funny thing about immigration is that what works for Mr. A is not what will work for Mr. B. And it is not what will work
Mm.
for Mr. C, because everyone has their backgrounds, everyone has, their own specific peculiarities. So you cannot carry that mindset that my sister, my cousin, my brother, my friend, and then bring it and import it to yours. I have these problems a lot of times with Nigerians. But my brother did this, my sister did this. I usually advise them, you know what? Let's advise you professionally. And then Nigerians like to think that okay, they can handle a lot of stuff by themselves. When it comes to immigration related stuff, of course, you're going to another man's land, already has this idea. There's someone
Yours, the man's land.
who is already professional, that is a professional about it. Let this person advise you or guide you properly. The other day I had a man walking to my office and he wants to go through the study route. Unfortunately for him, most of the time people want to study, no doubt, but then they don't mind the idea of, what, even if I get a job offer, even if I get a chance of staying back to work, it would be an amazing opportunity for me. And the man
Yes.
applied to a school, although the school is a designated learning institution in Canada, but the school does not offer postgraduate work permit,
Mm.
postgraduate eligible programs. So if this man is done with study, he will be on his way back
Yes, to go back.
and will all come
So
back.
that's so
So
that's
for some,
another thing with using a professional, so that they will tell you things like this instead of you now carrying yourself to go and.
and this man did this
Mm.
whole thing. He spent money, did this whole thing by himself. And when he came, he was like, "Hi, I want to start my visa processing. I need your advice. This, that, that." I got an offer, and I was like, "Okay, let me see the offer letter because I would ask you to show me the offer letter first before I give you any, subsequent or prior advice." And he brought the offer letter out, and I looked at the school, checked, and I was like, I hated to break it to him because at the
To
end of the
him.
day, efforts are gone basically, unless you choose you want to continue, and then fine and good, you are just going to study and come back. Of course, nobody disputes the fact that you can actually just go study, garner the information or the knowledge and
And come
come
back.
back. That's fine. So when he saw that, his heart broke because he put in a total of 300
Ah.
dollars to it, and 300 Canadian dollars in our economy today is not small money. It's not one. And he was like, let his wife not hear about it and all that. So really, Nigerians break my heart when they don't seek professional advice or guardians. They import another man's story, another man's life into theirs, and they feel like they know everything. Sometimes we have to seek help and guidance.
I think
So yeah, that's it.
Nigerians are very used to doing things by themselves. They feel like, a large portion of it. And I feel we're not used to trusting professionals, to do a lot of things. And I think for anyone listening, it's really important because you're going into somewhere that you don't know, you've never been there before. It's really important that you actually seek a professional that has done this for countless of people. So it's not just about, I've gotten, like she just mentioned now, it's not just about I've gotten admission, but does
Yeah.
this advance your stay beyond the admission, right? Is this the right school for even the study you're even pursuing? There might be schools that you would go into and maybe engineering is not the best. They're not really good at engineering. So even when career people come over, they're like, oh, maybe this school is not the best for engineering. They're looking into another school for engineering courses. But you need a professional to just delve deep into those insights so that you're able to come out on the other end very successful.
So what I want us to
Hope
focus
it's-
on now is the financial aspect, because I know that for a lot of people that's a big deal with the whole Jakpa and everything. So like the financial aspect of it. So I think the best way to go through it, because I know that different routes have different amounts, you understand? If you're going through job, it's going to be different amount than someone who's going through school. So can you take, I think the most common routes for Canada are the job routes,
Both
PR
routes
routes, and study routes. Okay, so can you do from the least to the highest? Which one costs the least? Which one costs the highest? And do like a cost breakdown. And I want you to be as detailed as possible because people need to understand. Because this is the early in the year, so that people can start to know that okay, they're not going to eat anything again this year. It's Gary from now to December, so that they can go abroad. And or if they need to sell their car, let me not say sell their children.
Well, it's not. It's. I wouldn't say it's crazy like that. But our exchange rate is going to contribute. That one
That's true. That's
is
true. That's
sure.
true.
That one is sure because most of the time these fees for these services will remain constant because it's not in our naira. But then the
Yes.
exchange rate is going to go up.
Increase.
So you won't blame
You
the
won't
service
blame them.
provider.
Yes.
So okay, so for the work permit, I'll start with the work permit. Getting a job yourself, you have to use the online job platforms, different job platforms. Most of
Yeah.
the time people
Glassdoor,
get it
Indeed, and the rest.
Indeed, LinkedIn, and the rest. So that helps them with getting jobs. And the IRCC themselves have even made it possible for immigrants to find verified and proper job opportunities in Job Bank. There's something they call Job Bank. Job Bank, the Canadian Job Bank. So that's where you get verified job opportunities that immigrants are eligible to apply to.
Okay.
So when you get
Is
it's now
this a website or is this like I don't
yes,
know? It's a website. So Job Bank, Canadian Job Bank. Okay,
Canadian
so
Job.
jobs there, immigrants can apply to it, and the companies will sponsor you to come here, to come there.
So it doesn't work that way. Those
Okay,
are job
okay,
opportunities for you to apply to get your job. So it's now if these companies, decide that okay, we'll sponsor you. It's solely that company's business. Okay.
okay.
It's not like they are mandated to sponsor you to apply for your visa or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
So
okay.
when you get the jobs and good for you, if they sponsor you, fine and good. So you know that most of the financial
Financial
whatever
costs. Yeah.
costs have been taken off your shoulders. But then if you are looking at, the whole doing it yourself, you know that you're paying for your visa application fees, if you're doing your medicals, if you're doing your biometrics, these have different fees. And I think they are all stated on the IRCC platform or website. So you can check them out.
The last time you checked, can you just give us like a ballpark figure
Okay, let me bring that
in total?
up.
Oh, you can check it now.
Total
Oh
amount.
yeah, I can check it now.
Yeah.
I can
All
continue
right.
to look
I
for
think
it.
for most people or most listeners, we want to know that okay, should I have like 10 million before I decide on this journey? Do you
Mm-hmm.
get how much do I really need to say, okay, this is the
Oh,
amount
so
that
so
would at
okay, so
least
so,
that's where
so
David's mind is at. So
technically,
now start
right
saving
now the
now.
current Canadian right now for the entire the new Canadian policy,
Yeah.
the Canadian immigration minister or ministry, I'll just say ministry, has set the amount for you to prepare your mind that you are coming to Canada at 20,000
20,000, that is
Canadian dollars.
24 million 800 naira. So that's 25 million naira. That's minus flight money, Abby. It's flight
Yes,
money
of
inside.
course. No, minus flight money.
Visa money is inside.
No. So this is the amount that you will be showing that okay, I can cater for my living.
Okay, this is proof
Because
of funds.
yes, I can cater for my
But
living. This is
aren't there ways to game this thing? People game it now. Isn't it just to show that your bank statement?
you will not just show that your bank statement and then you get into Canada and you begin to pose yourself as a nuisance. Because where would you now go to for food? How would you pay your rent? How would you, buy stuff, pay
Okay.
transportation, all of that? So you are factoring all these things into that money. So of course, just like in Nigeria, you would not expect to be going from house to
Yes.
house to say, "I don't get food,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
please.
yes.
I don't have a place to rest my head. Please let me know." So they don't
Yes,
expect you
yes,
to come
yes.
to the country and come and suffer.
Okay.
So what was the essence of coming in the
Okay,
first
so
place?
if you're going through the route of job permits, how much do you need?
Also,
Say
it's
okay,
actually
say
so actually it's the same amount, like that 20,600 Canadian dollars. It's your cost of living that you can cater for yourself as a single person in Canada.
hmm. Okay, but it's not factoring in if you might have family or things like that.
No,
It's
so, no,
just
no, so
okay.
that's a single person. So
Okay, that's for a single person. So if it's only
the
you know only your God, and you're going to Canada now.
yourself and you, yes,
You
yes.
know yourself and God. You're not going to beg on the streets. You want to, you understand, be self-sufficient.
For a
Why you laugh?
year, this a
So
year at
for
least.
okay, that money is for a year. Okay. So I think we can do some hustle maths. Let's do hustle maths. So if you want to survive yourself for 6 months and you say you want to kill yourself that in 6 months I must get everything down. So 24 divided by 2, you need like 12 million. Let's make it 1 month. 24 divided by 12. That's like because Nigerians are hustlers. People
Well,
tell them
you don't plan to stay for only 1 month and come back, do you?
yes, but
Or
I'm
stay
saying
for
that okay, that if you use 1 month to double your hustle and then get a job there, you
okay,
understand?
okay.
So that the job can
Oh,
now kick off. You understand? Paying
okay.
all your expenses. You know, funny
Mm.
enough, how I'm thinking is how most Nigerians think. It's like, let me just enter. If I enter now, should be Chinedu got a job in.
The thing is, you have to prove to the Canadian government, the IRCC, that I don't need to hustle. Like, I don't need to come and kill myself
Hmm.
hustle before I go, I
So will
get
you say
it.
that convince them
Yes, and the good thing about
your
Canada
success
is
of
the
your visa?
yes visa
Eh?
application, because we don't do face-to-face interviews in Canada.
Oh, so
So
once
it's
you have your documents, you are clear.
so there's a review process. There's a really
Okay.
scrutiny process. I'll say scrutiny.
Yeah.
Like they go through review practically every single thing you put on paper for them.
Hmm.
If
So based on what you must present, you must show that yes, I'm indeed capable when they go through it. Okay, I think now we should focus now on okay, so two more routes. So the PR route, so permanent residency and that whole process and how much does
Mhm,
that cost? And then
mhm.
also the study, because you can't as much as the government is saying 24, how much 20 something
20,000.
thousand $20,000. I know that that amount is not the same for students because students are paying tuition and abroad schools, their school fees is not $2,000.
Of
So
course, of course. So for the PR, you have to factor the fact that you are doing a lot of verifications and stuff. You are evaluating your documents. You are writing language proficiency tests.
hmm,
If you are bilingual, you speak French, you speak English. You are
like
doing both.
yourself.
You do both the French
Like
proficiency
yourself.
and efficiency. Then you're evaluating your documents, and then the proof of funds we spoke about, 20K
Yeah.
in factored in, then your biometrics, your visa application fees, and your medical fees.
Okay, so most of
So
the money you're spending is just to verify yourself.
basically,
So if you're talking about proficiency test now, language proficiency test, we are looking at, you know what, how much would that be? Language, I think that's the IELTS, Abi.
yes,
Yes, yeah.
IELTS,
So
yes,
how much
and
is that now?
as at Friday last week, I saw a trend on Twitter that the fees for IELTS have risen up to. So I don't know how true that
250. Wow.
1,000 naira. Yes, I don't know how true that information is. I think it's yet to be verified. But the last time I checked, I think it was about 1,000 naira. Then
139, okay.
itself, which is the French proficiency exam, is at about 4,000 naira right now. So
To prove that you can speak French is more expensive to prove that you can speak English. Thank
well,
God, thank God, thank God the British people colonized us. Thank God they colonized us. It's not
well,
hard.
so I think Nigerians are even pushing back and fighting that. You know what? We are an English speaking country. It's obvious. Like we are colonized by the English.
English, all
What's
of us
there
speak
to prove again?
to prove
Obviously, it's
again.
our language. So why would you now tell us to actually write a proficiency test? So I think Nigerians are pushing back. A lot of people are talking that if this can be waived for Nigerians completely, like
Completely.
so
Okay.
it would be an amazing development, because really we are fighting for 20 and we are also fighting for
Yeah.
so
So if okay, 200 there, 400 there, medicals. And the thing about it, we can't really get accurate figures from you because these things are changing by the day. It's almost like
exactly
it's almost like
exactly.
catfish now. Everything is just changing by the day. So if we can put a ballpark figure, let's say you want to go through the PR route, would you say that 3 million is okay for the verification process?
Give or take, it can be more, with the entire exchange rate rising. I would just say give or take. give or take.
Give or take.
Give
Let's
or
say
take
for now,
3 million.
like
I think you will be showing that you can cater for yourself. So give or take. I might
Yeah,
be slightly
okay.
more.
I wanted to ask on the proof of fund side, the 20,000.
Mm.
Is that why people, because I've seen people actually use proof of funds, like say businesses and stuff like that. Is that the reason for that? Is that a major source of
Well,
saying, okay, we use those people as a way to show that we have 20,000 an account?
Well, I advise every single one of my clients to source for the funds and have it, because you do not know the exigencies that are coming in front. You do not, like, you can't predict what exactly will happen in front. Have that money and know that you have it, because you get to Canada and man, you'll be shocked that truly you can't even. Maybe we're saying that no worry, when we enter, we will find
Now we
our
enter,
way.
we get
Yes,
job.
exactly.
You get, and then you get in, and then you're like, okay, I didn't see this coming. I never experienced it.
Mm.
And then you
Yeah.
start, oh, what do I do? What do I do? So I usually advise them, you know what? Have the money. Prepare yourself. Don't rush. Canada is not running away. It's there. It's waiting for you. Have the money so that you have peace of mind. At least when you get into another man's land, you will not see somebody and run under the table that are the old person who you get, and then
Yeah.
you'll not sleep with your two eyes closed. So that time, you know what, have the money.
Would you
Have
would
the
you
I
money.
think
advise
that's
would
it.
you advise okay, I think we should now move to the school part, because tuition, if you are going to, because something that Jam said that, and it's very true, you need to also weigh the school you go to by the ranking of the school. There are certain schools that
Mhm.
rank well with certain industries. So because
Mhm.
the better the school you go to for your industry, the higher the chances of you getting a job, and most of the time that's the goal, to get a job.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
but the thing is, this thing that comes to bite you is that if you now want to go for that kind of thing, you have to spend a lot of money upfront for the tuition. So how much are you looking at if you are going through the school route?
So school fees, undergraduate school fees right now, we are looking at between 30 to 35 Canadian dollars per year for most
Okay.
schools. There are still
Wait.
schools,
Is this per? This is per academic year.
yes, per academic year,
Okay, I'm doing the. You said 35, right? 35.
35,000 Canadian dollars for most schools. There are schools that still have higher than that
Okay, let's just say average schools.
in average.
So that's 38,500,800 naira. Wow. Okay, let me read it again. 30. Wow. We started this episode saying that we are doing this for the average.
You have to
There's
You
no
reconsider that.
see,
there's
there's no
there's no
average.
they don't have a school lights or something, so the
Light
discount
version of
option
school.
light version of school.
The good thing is that most of these schools give international undergraduate students scholarships. So it helps them reduce costs.
Is it common to see students tuition free, or usually it's just a percentage?
I can't say, because it's me maybe accusing these schools, but
Hmm.
it's rare.
Hmm.
One, most of the scholarships are given based on academic performance of our international students from
Students, yeah.
their country school, their high school. So let's say high school, you were a straight A student, you are looking at
They
maybe
trace it
7.
back. They trace it back from secondary school. They don't
Your
trace it
WAEC,
from
yes.
university.
No, now you are an undergraduate student. You're looking at applying to bachelor's. I'm talking about the bachelor's degree.
Oh no, I'm thinking about
Masters.
the conversation was
Oh,
masters. Yes,
Yeah.
masters. Mm.
yes.
How does it look harder than the
No,
normal one?
because I don't think most people consider bachelors, because bachelors generally I feel like it's more expensive in the long run, because that's 4 years. So four
Well,
to 3 years of paying, but masters is like a year or two. But then again, you are the expert, so please educate us.
so the master's degree scholarships are mostly given to research-based master's degree programs. And most of our
Okay.
students, it's pretty much, I'll say, difficult to, or not easily accessible. I'll use not easily accessible to get to the research-based master's degree programs, because one, you have to, get an approval from a faculty professor for the program you're going to study and all of that. So it's mostly the research master's degrees that have, those high scholarships,
Chips.
yes, incentives.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
the
So
course base, you pay your school fees.
okay. So how much are we looking at for masters tuition?
So most of the time, most masters tuition are like credit based, course based. So if you're doing like
Okay.
10 credits, 12 credits, they'll tell you, okay, 8,000 Canadian dollars per credit, or 8,000 Canadian dollars for 3 credits, 5 per
Okay.
credit for 2 credits, like that. Then you now multiply by the number of credits you'll be doing in maybe in a term or in a year.
Okay. I don't know. That sounds more customizable. You can customize it to your
But
pocket.
then, so if you now want to take it back through memory for students that have gone through and have given their testimonies. Well, and most schools will tell you per year you should have this idea that you'll be looking at almost the same amount as the bachelor's, 30 to 35. Then for MBAs, you're looking at 40 to 45.
Okay,
So
that's what MBAs are generally more expensive. Okay.
expensive.
Wow. 30 million naira.
No knowledge, no
David's
knowledge
face.
gotten is wasted, is it?
No knowledge you're doing is with about you're looking at 30 million. Okay, because we're looking at the average now. Once again, as much as there are people in this country that have 1 billion in their account, for every person that has 1 billion in their account, there's like 1 million other people who don't have 1 billion. You understand? So, wow. I'm getting speechless. Please, Jam, over to you. I'm getting speechless. 30 million.
So I think it's just the way I
Wow.
see it. The way I see it is like you have to really plan really well. And this has
Yes,
to
it's not a
emphasize the
day's
need.
job.
It's not a day's job. And this has emphasized the need to actually speak to a professional because all of these things are new to me. And there was a time I was even searching for, what are the opportunities to study for masters abroad? So even now, these are new information. So I think just to emphasize the need that, people should seek a professional and plan. If it takes you 2 years, like she mentioned, Canada is not running away. All of these schools, they are there and they're waiting
Yeah,
for
they're
you.
waiting
So
for you.
if it requires you to plan to get a higher paying job in Nigeria, to do more stuff, if you're handling like 5 different jobs in a day, no problem. As far as you have your goal that, okay, you're going to meet Angelina one day and say, see my money, I'm ready. I think that's how I'll look at it. Because it's not actually easy. From this conversation, I'm even shocked around the amount of people that even leave the country. But I can understand that it's not even easy to even do that. And I think it's great work you're doing. You're helping people, Sha. That's the goal.
Changing lives. Do you have any
It is what
stories for us? We like to hear stories. Do you have any story? You've told us about that man that
Yes.
spent that thing is so sad. I was thinking about it now. Like imagine that he has already planned himself that I'll finish school, bam, that the thing was cheap. I'll finish school, bam. By the time I finish like this, enter one or two, come back, build one
and
house, carry my people.
funny thing is the level of another thing about Nigerians is they will apply for a level of study that is lower than their own study. And most of them are not even aware. The thing is, get, like I said, professional advice or guidance. If that man knew in the first place that even the level of study he was applying for was way lower than his
Wow.
status.
His pedigree, yeah.
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 Yes, do
What
you have
what's
This is
the
what
stories?
what's
I
the
think
sh-
stories.
yeah, yeah, please go on. Please let us hear stories.
I said this is what it is. It is what it is.
Oh,
We're looking
wow.
for stories that you say, this is a success story that worked out. I know that each person, I think you mentioned several times that each person's
Okay,
sort of
so
journey is
I,
completely
I would
different.
like to use one of my students. This lady
Nice.
came in. She had like a really great result from undergrad. I think she had a four. That's almost a
Hmm.
first.
Nice.
And we applied to a school on her behalf for a master's degree program. She got denied admission with a four. You see why I tell you that on the grand scale of things, like the requirements are for Nigerians is, although I think they are beginning to loosen up, they're beginning to loosen up to a good extent. So we decided to apply to an MBA program. She's currently in Canada now. We decided to apply to an MBA program for her. And we were like, okay, fine and good. Just come and, do the MBA. MBA is a win-win because MBAs is like all encompassing. They have the project management in it, they have the human resource management, they have
Yes.
business management. Good thing of most MBAs these days, they've introduced tech, data analytics, and all of that. So you are not just one-sided. Everything is, embedded for you. And she sends me messages from time to time that, she's doing well and school is going fine for her. Although, the whole acclimatizing to the Canadian system is still pretty huge
Yeah.
for her. We are Nigerians, we adapt. So
Yeah.
it wasn't an easy process at the very beginning because of that denial that the school gave her, that very first denial. But then we have to move, we have to make progress, and she was a very determined person. She did not, and she's someone that was ready to learn. She was open-minded. One thing about Nigerians, we are closed-minded. If it is not what we think it is, we cannot accept
Yes.
another thing. She was open. She was like, okay, let's give this other thing a try. If she insisted that it had to be that program,
That's
and then this whole
very
thing
key.
hit her, all that, but then
Okay, so before we begin to wrap up, you've mentioned something, you hinted at something before, so I just wanted you to touch on it because that's part of what we do. We always give updates. So you mentioned new laws, and I think a lot of people, I think UK has done their own. UK has always been
You bombarding
Oshodi
us.
for abroad. That one has always been
Yeah.
there. So for Canada now, what are the new laws that have been put in place concerning immigration? And
So
just talk to us about that before we begin to round up.
Canada's new policy came as a shock to us because we never saw it
Hmm.
coming. We never experienced it. Of course, there are immigration, there are immigration councils that handle anything immigration
Yeah.
for each country, but they were so welcoming, warm, and all of that. We did not expect this, but then it's still for the benefit of the emigrants or the immigrants. I'm talking from the point of view of Canada now. For the immigrants, it's still for our own good or our benefits, because the very first policy was aimed at international students, so that we will have the best quality of education and all of that. So international students would need, like I said, the new proof of funds. This one cut across board for everyone, 20 moving to Canada. So you need to prepare your mind and know that, okay.
So how much
Because
was it before and how much is it now?
it was about 10,000, 10 to Canadian dollars or
So
so.
they moved it, they literally doubled it.
Yes, and was like
Wow.
10 years. This was like 10 years, 10 to 12 years ago. And imagine, times have changed, economies have
Yes.
changed. Every country
Yes.
is developing or moving forward. So, of course, cost of living would increase, just as it's increasing in Nigeria. That's how it's increasing in other countries. So, you would imagine you coming to Canada without your 10 Canadian dollars that you have, and you come and then you are seeing yourself spending more than that. It will be, of course, it will come as a shock to you that, but it was 10. Why am I spending more than my 10? So
Yes.
Yeah.
they want international students, they want the immigrants to know that, okay, I am coming to Canada. I know that my 20 is 20. My 20 will not come and turn to a million or 100 or 200 or however. So 20 is 20. So that is what they did. It's for our own welfare, our own benefit. So that you're having that mindset that, okay, you're coming, you are going to spend
Yeah.
this. Come with 10,000 and then you're coming to see 20 out. So that's for our benefit. Then they made it, one of the policies is that international students who are coming to study for any other program apart from a master's degree program or a PhD, their spouses of those other levels of education will not be eligible for open work permits. So
So people can't do the come and then your partner is working while you're schooling routes, all that stuff.
for other programs apart from the master's degree and
Masters.
PhD programs.
Mm.
So
Okay, is
I
that
think that one would like to be ComSci for international students, because most of our students do not necessarily meet the requirements for a master's, and these students are married or they already have families. We usually advise them, either you come to study and your spouse also comes to study, or you come to study, finish studying. If you get the opportunity to stay or the privilege to stay back before your family can come join, before your spouse can come join you to work, or else they will just come visit and come back.
I understand. So are those the only policies, only new policies?
So then the other policy is that, so there's this thing that public schools and private schools in Canada do. I think even in Nigeria we do it, where our universities are affiliated with smaller colleges or smaller institutions.
Yes.
Like you hear
Yes.
University of Ibadan is affiliated with one of the colleges in Oyo State. University of Lagos is affiliated with one college or the other. So in Canada, it also happens where public schools are affiliated with private schools and they offer programs or courses in these private schools. So
Okay.
before now, students that offer these courses offered by these public schools in partnership with these private schools, they were still eligible for postgraduate work permits. But right now, any of these programs are not
So that
postgraduate
means it
work
has to
permits.
be the core masters or postgraduate school, Abby. Is that what you're saying?
No, so okay, for example, let's take Unilag
Okay.
and a private school, for example, Covenant University and
Uh-huh.
Unilag are in partner, and they are offering engineering. So Unilag is offering engineering taught or offered taught in Covenant University, and then your certificate is carrying Unilag, but you were taught in Covenant University.
Covenant.
Before now, you
Okay.
would get a postgraduate work permit for that certificate. but
Ah,
much
you can.
later, right now you will not be eligible for a postgraduate work permit if you get that certificate.
Wow. These are some aggressive stuff. Oh, these are some really aggressive stuff. Wow.
I feel like it's for the benefit of the international student, because of course they would have our welfare, our best interest at heart. Of course, we are spending our money on their
Yeah, school.
society or their government or whatever system. So of course they should have our interests at heart.
I think at this junction, we can begin to round up. Time is fast spent. Time is fast spent. So, John, please kindly round up for us. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I think before we round up, Angelina, I think it's best that we plug you in. So, how best can people reach out to you? Is there a website? Is there a social media handle
Oh,
that we
of
can
course.
reach out
So
to and say, hey,
I work under an amazing company that offers amazing services and guidance. And then we have like licensed immigration consultants that give proper professional at Maple Education. I don't know if you've heard of Maple Education Canada. So we've been 20 years in service and we've been amazing. So you can reach out. I think we have an Instagram handle, Maple Education Canada. And then our website is
okay,
actually www. And
nice. Um, we would add that to the show notes so that people can get access to if someone to contact you, send a message. I think you guys are doing amazing work.
no
And thank you so
problems. Thank
much
you very
for
much for
joining
having
us
me.
today and being part of this episode. I learned a lot as someone. Don't worry, when I'm ready to go to Canada, I'll reach out to you. I'll reach, I'll reach out
I'm
to you
glad
as soon
I'm
as you
I'm,
can.
I'm glad I shared
Thank you so
knowledge.
much and
Thank you very much for having me.